Did you know there are otherworldly intergalactic beings here on the planet right now to help us?
On behalf of an entire civilization known as the Arcturians, for millions of years we have been of service to the Prime Creator as the Masters, Guardians, Sacred Healers. It is our privilege to be in your presence. Walk in the certainty of your light. Always believe in who you are, knowing the true path of your enlightenment is right encoded into you. It is within the very fabric of your being. There is no need to search any longer, for you have found yourself. And you have found an entire intergalactic, interstellar communities who are with you, for you are us and we are you.
Well, if you are in need of some guidance, an upgrade, some galactic light codes and transmissions to help you raise your frequency, you are in the right place. I am Heaven Hope, and this is Conversations with Goddess. If this is your first time visiting our magical channel for the light in this part of the universe, you may want to consider subscribing and joining the global and galactic family of light. We bring you guests and information for your expansion, your elevation, your evolution, your ascension.
It has been our privilege to be in the presence of other masters, many teachers, guides, channels, intergalactic linguists, the presence of the masters, our beloved Sananda, Sanat Kumara, Lady Nada of the Rose Ray, and so many others. Always, always walk in the certainty of your light.
Are you ready for some ancient wisdom, sacred teachings, galactic light codes, overall upgrade to your own awakening process? You are definitely in the right place. On the show today, my guest is Viviane Chauvet. She is an advanced Arcturian hybrid avatar, published author, international public speaker, creator of the Arcturian Energy Matrix Healing, multidimensional way of healing for conscious evolution, advocate for planetary ascension, owner of Infinite Healing from the Stars. Welcome to the show, Viviane. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much, Heaven. It's such a joy to be in your presence and can already feel the energy of the Divine Feminine coming in, being with us, supporting us, and it feels very already warm. I can feel it to the heart.
What is an advanced Arcturian hybrid avatar?
I am an Arcturian being, meaning that I come from the intergalactic civilization known as the Arcturians. Arcturians are one of the most enlightened, very ancient intergalactic race, been interacting with Gaia, the solar system, the Milky Way, and everywhere in the multiverse for thousands and thousands of years. I have chosen to come back as a bridge, as a conscious bridge between the cosmic community and the earth plane for the human race. I chose to come back in a human physical form. And what it means is that my body, my physical vessel, was engineered by very advanced holographic technology to bring in a vessel that will allow me to embody the race I'm coming back to support and help. So just enough genetic as a baseline, a foundational baseline, to help me to be functional on the earth, at the same time a body that will vibrating at a higher state, so that my physical template is designed to bring in constantly those beautiful frequency that I'm getting. It's through my delegations, whether it's through many different groups that we work in partnership. So I'm a direct bridge that helps also the human being consciousness to reopening themselves, to accept their cosmic origin, to accept that you are much more than are these identities. And we're here to help bring the next level of conscious opening and to say, oh, it is time for us to take our place back in the intergalactic communities and opening yourself more on a cosmic universal level. Think of it as a more of a softer approach to says there's other intelligence coexisting with you, and you're part of this. You feel like you've been excluded or separation or feel a level of isolation, but it's a complete illusion. You've never been isolated. It's just the energy or the impression that most people have had. So we're coming back in that soft approach, more of a relatable ways to communicate with you, and says, we've been around for a long time and it is time to reconnect and establish this beautiful collaboration with each other.
Is that why you have chosen to show up as a woman in this lifetime? Who decided that you would show up in female form?
The consensus has been that I want to bring and embody, at least from a physical perspective, more of a divine feminine energy. It feels maybe more safer, it feels warm, nurturing, and it's also the goal behind it. It's nothing to fear. There's nothing to be intimidated by or feeling it's really out of your element. I embody this form so I can have a more greater, more direct and positive impact for this grand reawakening that has been ongoing for a long time, but just the last 4 years alone been a really huge landmark on your planet in terms of global, very much so.
I'm curious, how does it feel to embody a human form in third dimensional density, witness the current situation and condition of humanity at this time?
It's been quite a challenge because I come from a realm or a place there's no such things as polarization, dualistic energies. I come from a place where everything vibrates in a much higher state, a much higher level of light or light spectrum luminosity. Being in this very, very condensed version of my natural self and seeing how much level of separations and illusion put in place and how much the human race have really retract themselves into a little tiny shell instead of embracing the huge potential that they have. It's been very challenging for me being on the planet for so long, embodying another race, another civilization's form. I have to compensate for so much of the discrepancy I'm feeling, whether it's vibrational, whether it's the limitation of the human language, instead of communicating through thought form exchange or telepathic communications. I found the human languages overall, and whichever that is, very limiting, very separating from each other, because if you travel and there seems to be a linguistic barrier between the culture you're traveling to, it already creates misunderstanding and feel like you're on one side of the fence, I'm on the other side. And I never understood these barriers put in place. And this is part of the overcoming of fear, overcoming of the control, the lower mind. It's the overcoming of certain acquired behavior. If you look in school with children, I never understood why children are programmed to be very harsh, judgmental with each other instead of embracing that we're all children and we're going to learn with each other, we're going to grow with each other, we're going to support one another. So that collaborative energy is not always very present on the planet. From a cosmic perspective, there's a lot of cultural shock that I've gone through over my lifetime and make absolutely no sense to me. Very much. What is the root source behind these discrepancies?
What was it like for you as a child here on the planet? What did you experience?
Let's just say, to begin with, that I have chosen to go back to the beginning to better understand the full spectrum of the human journey. It was very much an endeavor of love because it was unnecessary for me to do this. I did it just to really immerse myself in this human biological experience. Once in a lifetime, I'm done. I will never go back to it. There's been beauty, there's a lot of wisdom. After time, if I could have an exit button, I would have clicked it and says, you know what, there's other ways for me to serve. You know what, the project is more difficult than we anticipated. Bring me back home and we'll review everything. It's very unpleasant for me. In a sense, not just for me, it was very painful to watch people going through a lot of unnecessary suffering and mental pressure, even in school. The rejection, the level of projection put onto each other. Just walk in a classroom, the vibrational state, and to constantly be in that lower density was extremely for me to compensate and maintain the higher frequency or to maintain the purity or the integrity of the connection I have. This is why my body was designed in a certain way so I can retain that connection. It was a very fascinating experience.
We're happy and grateful that you managed to navigate through that, Viviane, and
Thank you.
you stayed with us. What propelled you to stay with us was your love for humanity and your service, which is what ultimately brought you here. What was and what is the mission that you came to do?
My Earth mission is really for the future timeline. My mission I've not fully started just yet, but in the meantime, I was asked to play more of a supportive role, which I have played and done in spades and still doing it. My aspect of my introduction into the Earth field was really to wait until we reach that global momentum for the ascension, and then from there, this is where my mission is going to really start more deeply. In the meantime, all the work I've been doing is to prepare in that way, is to help to stabilize the field, is to help as publicly and behind the scene, helping to diffuse a lot of that negativity, deflecting, distortion, to help to transmute the 3D paradigm or the linear time construct into a more universal time. I do a lot of on, but also a lot of off-planet work. So there's more than what you see from a public perspective, or what I share in interviews, or what you hear me say during a lecture at a conference, or when I host retreat. This is just some aspect, I would say that's just snippets of what I've come to do. But behind the scene, there's tremendous level of support and work that we do, whether it's monitoring also the quality of who's entering the field of Gaia in terms of intergalactic group, interdimensional beings, the influence on the timelines. We have a very, very huge role that is not very seen or recognized publicly. We are supporting Gaia on a multidimensional level, and we're not the only ones. So there's many other groups that we work in cooperation and collaboration with. Just my presence on the planet is already shifting. So think of me as a huge paradigm shifter in the sense that just being physically on the planet is constantly shifting the dynamic of where things are moving. Of course, there's many light workers, and I'm so grateful for everyone's light gifts and abilities. It's really together that we can do this. But just physically being one of the rare ET beings, taking on a human form. I'm so sorry. I gave a presentation online, and I've been speaking for hours, so my body is a little bit tired right now.
Well, no worries. And actually, I would like to ask you, what are some of the sensitivities, challenges being an intergalactic being in physical form? You have to get used to the frequency here on Earth. I've heard you share there have been challenges, for instance, when you went to Egypt, which is something we'll get to in a moment. Let's just have you answer the question about what is it like being an intergalactic being in a physical human form?
I constantly feel the gravitational pull of the planet. I constantly feel a certain contraction in my own physical conduit. So my body is super ultra sensitive. So I have to be very mindful of what I'm exposing myself to. I don't have the same physical capacity than on average human beings have overall. Of course, there's exception. I respect that. But my physical form has, let's say, a unique configuration that I'm not here to exhaust myself very much physically. When I travel, all the lifting of the luggages and running around from one terminal to another, or just the pressure in the cabin and the airplane and different time zones and fast pace of moving, for me, it's an extraordinary accomplishment just to be able to keep up. I'm not built to be in that harsh, fast-paced physicality. I am built to vibrate at a much higher level. I'm built more to be naturally at a higher frequency level. So it feels very compressive for me. It feels very limiting from a physical standpoint. And I understood that that was part of the experience of being in that biological human experience here on the planet, especially in the third density. Whether you call it density or dimensions, it's just different level of semantics. But it's when you are being that already ascended and you vibrate super high and you enter a physical form that needs to be a little bit more in sync with the sync of the planet where it is, and it's a little much slower, much condensed. The demands are completely different. Just to function on a day-to-day, what you would call your daily task, for me, it's an extraordinary amount of effort and energy that I spend just to maintain the pace. You talk about Egypt, that was above and beyond for me just to be there. This is why it was most likely going to be a one-time deal for me to be there. What it took to be there and sustain the travel, not only physically, but also the requirements of my work etherically and energetically, and the recovery time after I came back from Egypt was great.
I watched Egypt reactivated, which is wonderful.
Thank you.
Watched both 1 and 2. There were some very powerful activations that occurred. The activation you did at the pause of the Sphinx, would you share a little about that?
It was for me the highlight of Egypt, and I felt it for months before, and I would etherically see the energy of the Sphinx coming through. I did a lot of travel there in my light body consciousness. What we did there physically was already ongoing for months on of preparation. I knew there was a huge calling. I could have gone do my work in the Sphinx and leave the next day and be completely happy about what we have done. But I can understand that each and every temple that followed the Sphinx was extremely important and crucial as well. So we did more than the activation. We helped to transmute and dismantle a very oppressive paradigm there. And that's why I knew in my heart that what we're about to do was greater than, bigger than my own physical considerations. So just the Sphinx itself is having an ET being in a hybrid human form sitting on site, physically anchoring through even my spinal cord and the configuration of my own energetic system to bring directly the codes. It's been never before done in such a manner, in such a way. And I know there's many groups have come over the years. Many will go after us. But it's in the manner that we did it, the significance at that moment. And when I physically felt a vibration coming from the Sphinx itself, knowing that another aspect of the Sphinx were coming into life, another aspect of the archives were coming back into sacred activation, and that was going to continuing supporting the ascension timeline. So it was very momentum. It was done as a favor in a sense that when I talk about Egypt with my delegation, there was a lot of concern for my physical form. There was a lot of concern also for me to being there as an AT being on site. And many groups have come and said, we're going to support this huge planetary endeavor. And so I got a lot of support to go through what I've gone through. And looking back today, I even wonder how I did it. That's because of the amount of help I have received, both on and off planet. Again, an endeavor of love.
What were the energies that were reintegrated at the pause of the Sphinx?
It's beyond that. It's a good question, though. Think of it as bringing a future aspect of what these archives always been, and we are finally being able to reintegrate them or return them to the planet at a time that there was just enough opening to do this. This is beyond energy and frequency and vibration. This is much bigger than that. My challenge is to translate into the 3D linguistic field what really is happening. It's almost like repairing, like a repair or a restoration that has been done right where we were there physically and on a multidimensional level. New frequencies of those repair frequencies have been taken over by many other councils of light. And they now finally have the proper alignment. They can continue to work with the archives and what the Sphinx represent and what has been represented for thousands of years. It reminds me of something similar. About 2.5 years ago, we were in South Africa and I helped to restore, and a very ancient galactic feed has been disrupted for a long time. And just my presence, the beings who were responsible for restoring that galactic feed or that signal were able to work through my physical form and restore that signal. That was huge. That was done in South Africa. So it's something in the equivalent. Egypt is part of Africa in the north. So when we were in Egypt on the land and right in the paws of the Sphinx, something was restored or reintegrated or brought back into proper alignment to allow much more to unfold. So everybody going back to Egypt, and with the encoding and transmission and the energies, it's going to be transmitting at a whole new level that it was before. I hope that makes more sense in terms of the bigger picture.
The major thing, Isis came to you at the Temple of Isis, healing experience, and she also brought through a very important message for you personally and also for the planet. Would you please speak into that?
Of course, yeah, with pleasure. When we arrived by both to the actual Temple of Isis, not the original temple, but the one it is now, then we enter one of the main temple. It's like a sacred doorway of consciousness you enter. I saw this beautiful, formless, beautiful, radiant light of a feminine presence. That presence was very, very clear, very distinct. Communication was just as clear, as potent as this beautiful conversation is. So I stood there, I saw this beautiful presence of light. That presence took on a shape and form, and it looked more like the shape of a woman. There was no face or no distinctive features. It was the presence that mattered the most. And this presence said, I am an aspect of what you call Isis. And I said, well, I am an intergalactic being. So to us, you represent an archetype of the divine feminine. And she said, that's exactly correct. But for the purpose of history on Earth, the label or the name is called Isis, but it's an archetype. It's an energetic representation of the divine feminine energy. And so that energy or this presence came closer to me and literally physically entered my heart. I went like, what are you entering my physical vessel? And she said, well, because of who you are, and of course, all the distortion you went through, the dark attack that you went through, and everything that you sustained, your heart has sustained damages. And I said, I know, I'm aware of that. She said, well, in rendering to your services, I'm going to come here and help to heal your heart physically, the physical aspect of it. So I stood there and I could physically feel my cardiovascular system movement, the muscles moving. I can feel that the work is taking place. Of course, I'm not used to receive as much as I give. I was very taken by this very generous gift. Once the energy came through, I asked what the energy you call Isis. I said, how can I be of service? How can I thank you for such a beautiful gift, because it will allow me to continue to do my work and be more of service to the planet? She said, the only thing I request of you is tell your group to bring together and honor the divine feminine, to restore the integrity of the divine feminine to the planet, and which will help to restore in the heart of every being on this planet, including the heart of Gaia. So I said, it shall be fulfilled. And I gave her my thank you and my gratitude. The presence disappeared, shift and release herself. And I went to see the organizer and the co-host that I was working with. I said, we must gather at once and fulfill a promise I just made to what you know of as Isis. And let's do a quick meditation as it was allowed, to be able to honor this fulfillment, bring in the restoration of the original aspect of the divine feminine archetypes back to the planet. In a nutshell, that's what took place.
At the temple, is this what I saw where you only had 4 minutes to do this? Guards and people jumping in and saying, no, you cannot do this here, but you were able to do it successfully.
Absolutely. And that's a good point you're making, because that 4 minutes on the linear time, we utilize it as a beautiful sacred space. The depth, cohesiveness of that meditation was to the point, powerful, bringing to the divine feminine and honoring of this request. And as we were just closing and doing everything, this is what we were told by the guards: you cannot do that here. And I said, we respect that, and we're going to leave at once. Well, he was already done. That's the beauty of it.
Another situation similar to that, the Temple of Saqqara had light language transmit through you. Please share about that.
I was surprised in a sense. I was not expecting this beautiful light language transmission to take place, but there's something about the pyramid of Saqqara that is very sacred. I felt a greater connection to the pyramid of Saqqara than the pyramid of Giza. I felt that Saqqara temple in the site itself, with this beautiful configuration of that pyramid, like 7 steps representing the 7 level of consciousness that the Egyptians are so keen around. The construction of it evoke a much deeper ancient time. And there was almost like a recognition between consciousness of that ancient structure, the pyramid of Saqqara, and who I am and who I represent. So at that moment, I became in sync with the essence of that structure, that consciousness. And right away, the language, if you would, that was taking place were through light codes. My body became very active, and right away, I saw these beautiful light codes coming through me and physically creating the corresponding symbols in the form of sign light language. There was no verbal, there was no sound, nothing. It was very silent, very respectful. And we were outside, open in the field, and I was at a great distance from the pyramid, so there was no touching of any kind. And my body started to shift in that direction. I could do the equivalent of these symbols through light language. The guards saw me moving in ways that they couldn't comprehend. I felt them potentially offensive, so I was told to stop right away. But again, at that moment, what needed to happen was already unfolding. There was already a greater awareness connecting on the site. So I want to be respectful. Yeah, okay. And I put my hands in my pocket and I move very peacefully. And they said, thank you for complying. I wasn't there to create chaos. I'm here to help move out of chaos. I'm helping Egypt to get out of that chaotic energies that is really casting the population at a lower level. We're here to uplift, meaning the guards on site are also human beings that abide by those behind them, that tell them what to do. I'm here to create harmony, not disruption. So this is why right away I thanked them, put my hands in my pocket, physically showed them I was peacefully moving away from the site with the group, and that really calms everything down.
Did you also send them love?
Always.
Always. This reminds me of something that happened in 2012. I'm a priestess of Isis. I went to honor the divine feminine, the different aspects of the divine mother through sacred dance, spoken word, prayer, and movement. All these different civilizations that have these sacred sites, they're incredibly protective of anything that happens on those sites. The people that I came with who asked me to do this did not actually get permits to do anything there. So we were told, you can't do anything here. You can't meditate, you can't pray. And I was confronted by guards when we were just scouting the place and figuring out, well, where can I do this activation where the people are going to participate with me in the sacred movement? And the guard stopped me, took a photograph of me standing somewhere, sent it to Mexico City. It was crazy. I really related to what you went through. I said to myself, okay, I am here to anchor these energies, and I didn't travel all this way through all these different lifetimes to be told as the portal opened in 2012 that I cannot dance, pray, and meditate with the people who came here to honor the divine feminine. So I told the people who participated, I will do the movement myself. They need to create sort of like a shield around me. And I warned them in advance that if anything happens, like a guard shows up or something like that, I'm going to just continue. And bottom line, I ended up getting through almost the entire ceremony. And then at the very end, I heard this voice of a guard saying, stop, no, you don't do that. It was definitely a moment of panic, but I just breathed and I allowed the divine feminine, the divine mother, to continue to guide me. And I said, okay, everyone, let's just take a deep breath, send the energy into the earth, ground ourselves, and now take another deep breath, send love to that guard. 1, 2, 3. Sent him love, we sent him love, and literally he vanished. It was like he dematerialized. And then everybody cheered and said, yay, we did it, and it was finished, and it was done. And I just wanted to share that because it was a very powerful moment that reminded me of some of the things that occurred for you in Egypt. There is some sort of like cutting through that has to happen when you go to these sacred sites to do activations, transmissions, and to anchor the new energies and frequencies.
Beautiful. I am so glad you shared this experience because it's completely in resonance with what I went through or our group went through in Egypt and how you were able to transmute the negativity into higher form. So how beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for allowing me to share that in your interview. I'd love for you to share with us the meaning of light codes. This interview is ultimately about the galactic goddess light codes that we're going to be sharing with the people watching. I think a definition of light codes would be helpful.
And there's a multitude of different light codes. It's not just I'm the one who take the light codes, or because of my training, I bring the light codes. Light codes, it's more of a recognized high vibrational geometric pattern of energy we bring in and in accordance to our own frequencies or signature, and of course the purpose of our soul blueprint. Light codes are different shape and form, and it's also in sequential ways depending on what level you bring those codes. It can bring sacred geometric pattern, it can be sound, it can be also new vibrational patterning of light coming in. So this is why the word light codes, it's more of an expanded umbrella of sacred energies come back to the planet in different shape and forms.
Beautiful. What are the new light codes coming through for 2024 and beyond?
2024, it really is the marker in the sense that we're entering finally a very important paradigm of disassociation with the old ways. So even in the DNA level, into on a soul historical level, we're releasing layers of old Akashic record, Akashic remembrance, whether it's encoding into the earth field. It's a very much an opportunity to disassociate ourselves with the old structures. Any form of upgrades, whether it's in a new operating system of our bodies, our internal guidance systems, whether it's our gifts, our abilities, we're going to receive the equivalent support of the new upgrades. And of course, it can come in the form of light codes, and it can be also more of a series of new instructions coming in to support, like, for example, the DNA template to shift and start to activate itself on a brand new level. It can be also the reactivation of some of the memory connectors or ancient memories that we have within ourselves. And we're going to start to feel that to read the decoding of our own internal system will become more available, more present, less of a challenge because of the barriers of the lower mind, of the program of on the behavioral pattern level, whether it's old genetic markers, whether it's old emotional wounds. So as we're shifting more and more out of the old structures, keeping people more on the fear-based instinctual level, these codes of light or these instructions that come back at different level, it's going to be multitude of them, whether it's through the solar energies, solar gamma rays, igniting those light codes within ourselves, whether it's through the connection to our own star families, depending at what level of state of consciousness you are at, and what level of vibration are you cultivating in your day-to-day life. So how you live your life, how you perceive reality, how you perceive yourself, are going to be contributing to this opening of receiving more of these light instructions coming through as series of codes or energetic patterns, or new patterning is coming in. So I just want to bring in a bit of a broader visions about codes, as opposed to be a little bit fixating of the words itself, because I hear that a lot in my practice. People say, well, I'm presenting the Divine Mothers and I do this and I do that. And I always says, that's wonderful, but understand that you bring an aspect of that, not the whole aspect, because everybody has this unique vibrational presence, and bring an aspect of a light codes or transmission or connection. This is why it is important to return into a more collaborative efforts rather than be too hung up about what we do and the importance of what we do, because it's all together that we can really do this. If that makes sense.
Yes. Viviane, what is your vision for what is about to unfold? Where are we headed on planet Earth at this time?
Where do you think you are going to? What is it that you wish to accomplish? What is it that you are ready to embrace more? The souls on the planet who will need to continue to evolve in a certain third density level or on a similar third density level will simply allow to continue to evolve in that ways. And for the mass majority who has been coming in and preparing and opening the field and really cultivating more peace, more presence, reverence for all life, living in integrity with who you are recognizing that you're part of a much, much bigger divine design. Of course, naturally, there's an inner readiness, there's an inner knowingness that we are ready to embrace a new paradigm of living beyond these old structures, working for money and have a career, going to school for many, many years, gain high level of school loans so you can have a career, pay it back, pay more, and then retired. All of these illusionary way of living, which I found always very fascinating. We are moving out of these old 3D mold. And I think that's one of the things that on the planet people overall are ready to embrace. Feel there's an inner calling, there's a higher calling. Does that make sense? Right? That higher calling.
I completely resonate with what you're talking about. I don't think I've ever really fully plugged into the matrix. I could see as a young child what was really going on. And I just thought, no, thank you. I mean, obviously, to create a channel like this so that information could be disseminated that will empower people to continue on their own awakening journey is much more aligned with who I am, like Deborah and yourself and others. What I'm hearing then is that it's really a choice point. We're reaching this place now where all the old structures are decaying, they're falling away. People certainly have encountered massive dark night of the soul, wake up challenges. And I've heard you say there will probably be more contractions along the way. I'm just wondering if there's anything you can share with people who might be a little caught up in the fear program that would be helpful.
Well, first thing first, if you look at the decoding of the energy of fear itself, you have to think about fear in itself does nothing. It's like money. Money in itself does nothing. It's what we collectively or through nations or global recognition give power and authority to something. The moment you start to step into fear, ask yourself, what am I giving authority to at this point, and for what purpose? When you start to decoding the energy, so instead of being sat inside of a seemingly very thick box or a very thick cloud that seems to paralyze you in fear, anxiety, stress, all of it, talk to that structures of that fear. What is that fear? What is it attributed to? So when you're starting to ask different questions, you're opening more light. Instead of being in this dark room and be crumbled into yourself going, I'm so afraid of the dark, you're going, what will happen to this dark energy if I open a curtain and let one ray of light? What will happen then? Then the next one, the next one. So you allowing in a little more of a ray of light through these higher, more intelligent questions. And you start to see and watch, or even observe from inside out how this fear energy is start to transmute itself, shape, dissipate. So instead of being a very thick cloud or a curtain that seems to overshadow everything, including higher reasoning, you start to feel that this is more of a thin veil. You go, okay, it's not longer as thick and heavy. And what changed? Well, what changed is you. What changed is your perspective, your perception. What changed is that you're opening your field for higher intelligent questions that brings different form of answers. What changed is something that is much more profound and powerful from inside out. And what changed is what authority you give to what at that point. And that's going to be one of the greatest opportunity this year, to be able to release these layers, whether it's from your upbringing, whether it's cultural background, whether it's environmental from where you live, whether it's your internal perspective on higher authority, obeying to a higher power. What is the nature of what you're afraid of? It too is shifting. That nature is also shifting and exposing itself more. When you start to listening more to that point, what else is possible for me besides what have I known so very well? Sometimes people will discover that fear becomes just an old friend and they know what to expect from it. Familiar. It really is.
That is actually a good way to approach it, to embrace what you fear. Being a dancer, I sometimes dance with the emotional energies and allow myself to feel my feelings fully, breathe into the emotion and allow it to move through the body temple, to express it and to let it just dance through you. So it becomes like a dance partner that you dance with, and you learn to dance and transmute and transform the energies. So what is the type of work that you do with your clients? What kind of technologies, practices do you do in a session?
It's a very wonderful, huge umbrella. So for us, the word healing, it's a huge, infinite umbrella of complete potential. So it's very customized to who we are working with, the circumstance of that person, the background, the sources of influence. So for example, I've seen instances where people carry deep trauma in their heart, but when you start to dig a little bit deeper, start to realize that that trauma has created a sub-reality of stories that has really nothing to do with the way their reality or their physical reality has been. So you have to understand, so where is the discrepancy? Where is that sub-reality coming from? Is it coming from memories from their Akashic field or through past lives? And that is interweave into their reality today. So there's a way to approach this. Or if sometime souls or very bright light will come and reincarnate into a blood lineage with a lot of darkness in it. And I can tell that at a higher level, the role was to bring light and help to heal and reconcile a bloodline. Well, the level of work and the nature of the work in that particular case will shift differently from looking at past life influence. We readapt with the knowledge, the wisdom of my intergalactic groups with the Arcturians. We work in the holographic field. We have the ability to understand and feel what reality that client is vibrating in. Where are they? And to be able to understand when they're saying verbally, we need to decode because there's something else much deeper in their field and is sending signal. And we say, well, you're talking about XYZ, but in your field, I'm picking up something absolutely different. Let's bring that reconciliation so that the person can consciously realize what's happening. As of right now, I am shifting my practice model. After thousands upon thousands upon thousands of sessions, I want to move more on a global planetary level. So I no longer accepting new clients for private session. I more encourage people to take part of our monthly series called the Arcturian Holographic Group Healing, which is a powerful 2 hours with our group. Each month we change the thematics, change the frequency of where we're going to be working from. For example, whether it's DNA, plasma body, upgrading the human body template, whether it's consciousness with subconscious work, we shift every month. We readjust the needs depending on where we are vibrationally on the planet. And that group healing has been so well received. People get so much benefit out of it. They can watch the replay for a limited time, or they can join our online community. And we do have a membership that includes the group healing along with all the replays from the previous month of these group monthly series. They are really powerful tools, and we're able to help more people than I could do on one-on-ones all the time. This is no longer doable. So this is why I am offering something much more powerful and still going to resonate with a lot of people. And we're creating new ways to help and bring teachings and empowerment tools, whether it's our monthly meditation series, whether it's, different courses or program we put together. So we constantly shifting our ways to support everyone.
That sounds very powerful. In the interest of time, I'm going to sort of do a lightning round of questions. First, what is Earth's ascension timeline and how are we doing? How are we doing vibrationally?
The Earth ascension timeline is simply referring to that era that you're in right now. You're stepping out of a third linear time construct and you start to remembering yourself as a divine being of light, rather to heavily identify yourself as a 3D human being, wondering who you are, thinking you've been left alone on the planet. That concept, that construct is shifting. So it's more of a reascension, which is a big remembrance of who you are, coming back into that part of divinity and empowerment. And finally, you are more in that alignment right now. And if you look, feel, and tune in just what's been going on just for the last 3-4 years alone, you can tell there's a huge rising of energy in the people's consciousness, want to be more of service, want to come together more in community, want to shift the old ways that obviously no longer serve the growth and the expansion, there's a very palpable rising in the needs. This is the way people are ready to embrace more of who they are. That is all part of that beautiful shift that's happening, and will encourage everyone to really embrace that, and knowing that the more you identify yourself as a divine being, the more safety, security, fulfillment, light that you can bring, and no longer giving your power into the physical 3D aspect as you've been taught to be in the past. This is a huge reversal of thought system on the planet.
It's exciting that this is finally starting to happen. We're seeing shifts and changes that are occurring. Any guidance, tips, or tools helping them navigate through this more lovingly to their own journey and process?
Well, this entire interview is a huge tool. If you listen at all the intricacy and all the multi-layers of energy, guidance, wisdom that we've been providing, I will invite everyone to go back and listen again. Disconnect from the lower mind, who asks constantly questions, never feel satisfied. It's really about catching yourself. Where are you? Where are you more invested? Are you so more self-absorbed? What you look like? What does my energy look like? And all of this, then you're missing out on a lot more in terms of it really is an internal process. It really is about rediscovering the entire universe that you carry within you. Why do you think that overall humanity has been programmed to be so distracted outward so much? Think about it. If I come across a younger race, and I'm more like an ancient race, but not as advanced, but just have more technology, and I look at the planet going, this race has huge gut power potential, but they have not a clue of who they are. What will I do if, and I do say stress, if I want to control that planet? First, create distortion outside of themselves, make them feel like smaller than reality, implement a lot of distractions, overwork the nervous systems, which is their sacred gateway, disconnect them from their heart so they can always have their string pulled out elsewhere, have them very busy that way. Then I can have a monopoly on this planet. So, I'm expressing something very ludicrous, but it's exactly what's been happening for generations. So now, again, that reversal of thought system is the other way around. We say we're here to support you, remembering the very essence of who you are. And that starts by your practice. When you meditate, or simply allow yourself a time when you sit down with your eyes closed, with your hand on your heart, and start to breathe profoundly. Just take the time to zone out everything else. Just feel the movement of your breath. The movement of your breath connects you to the sacredness of the breath of life that is you, the gift of life in you and as you. And as you allow yourself to slow down, take the time to just tone out everything that you read about, felt, receive, absorb. Just be. Then invite your higher self. I wish today to be in deeper communion with my divine light. Just be, embracing that divine presence with you and as you. That allows you to really rediscovering so much more that any books you can read or anything that you can do. Everything else is a support system, which is perfect. But beyond that, what else there is that deep reconnection. If you never take the time to truly slow down, connect, breathe, just feel your own heartbeat, how can you really understand? How can you really integrate what you're receiving? How can you practice? It's really the cultivation in everything that you do. It doesn't matter if you drive your car to pick your kids at school, grocery, and pay your bills online. We understand that you're still abiding or functioning in this 3D field. I do too. However, I understand that I'm only supporting that bridge so we can move in a transformation. So I choose to abide by those 3D basic functions with conscious understanding, and I'm doing it as a bridge to support that transformation to take place. Be that conscious bridge. Others may still be on autopilot because it's too much about the me, the lower me, instead of your higher self, but just send them love. Like you mentioned, your beautiful sharing you did with us earlier. Send them love. Ask them, it's your time to awake. Remember, wake up in your heart. Remember. So we become catalysts for each other. We become inspiration for each other. Sometimes we have to kick a little bit of each other to go, hey, you're going in the right direction. What are you doing here? Come back. There's more to you. You simply forgot for a moment. You go, oh, that's right. My hand went down. No, you have it up. No more head down. Up. Look at the sky. Look at the sun. Let the energy. Remember that you're part of the stars. Feel your solar system. Feel your planet. Feel your presence. Look up. No more looking down.
Programmed to look down at those phones all the time.
Put the phone down. I know the generation, the younger generation, it's all about this virtual reality. And this is just a way to disconnect them from each other. The younger generations are coming with each other to support the other generation. It will create a catalyst of movement and expansion. Well, we don't want to do that, right? If I want to still control of this planet, let's implement games and virtual realities and devices and the next gadget so you can be more in that isolation. So it's really about what choice you make. We do our part. We need you to do your part as well every day.
I just want to acknowledge the wonderful meditations that you have on your website, is that you've made available. Take a moment and let people know where they can access those meditations and find you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. My website is called Infinite Healing from the stars.com. We do have an ascension library. We do have lots of meditation there. And also, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you will have notification of all the upcoming podcasts, the upcoming interviews, beautiful, ever-growing library of free meditation series.
Thank you so much, Viviane, for being here in service. I speak on behalf of everyone on the planet. We love you, and we're so grateful that you are here. Would you kindly share with us a transmission?
Be my privilege. Thank you so much. Remember, it is an endeavor of love on behalf of an entire planet. And the Arcturians, we have been around for a very long time. So our level of contribution in terms of codes, in terms of teachings, will start to get discovered more and more. But we're just another layer to a much more vast ancient history. It'll be a privilege to do that right now. So if you would please close your eyes. If you want to put palms of your hand on top of your heart, feel the energy moving, feel and honor the sacred breath of life by simply feeling the expansion of your lungs, transporting new oxygen, goes into your bloodstream, and turns into energy that feeds your entire body structure. Activate also your inner prana, and that energy also shift and transmute into light. So imagine now as you breathe a little deeper and slower, the light is also connecting you to the universal life force energy. So can you feel and receive now this gentle universal flow of pure energy coming through your spinal cord? Your spinal cord become the energy matrix, the conductor of consciousness and energy, to connect the synergy of your body intelligence and holistic system. And with the universal flow of pure life force energy, contain also the seeds of universal life, the instructions that allow this great awakening to take place from inside out, to help you vibrationally shift outside of the 3D matrix reality, dissolving linear time construct and returning on a more cosmic universal level. So we invite you today to feel and welcome this universal pulse within you, harmonizing your heart center, opening your higher mental faculties, gently upgrading your entire body systems, including your intuitive guidance system. Connect you deeper with a Mother Gaia and the sacred elements. It gives your inner tree of life a greater foundation, so you can really expand and feel the branches of your tree expanding on the universal level. Can you feel this expansion like a beautiful energetic stretch of light? that make you feel tall, secure, grounded, and very empowered. Remember how it feels every day in every way. So let's take a deep breath through your heart and expand. One more time, deep breath in and release. Let's just take a moment to integrate and feel that I choose to embody my divinity while honoring my human journey, and allow your inner tree of life becoming an anchor point to the planet, to the grid systems, as well as on the universal level, embracing the cosmic branches of connections, including with the intergalactics, on the multidimensional level, and on the divine level. And I am the sacred embodiment of all there is. And that invokes your I am presence. I am that I am. Beautiful. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and feel that even with your eyes open, that you're holding that sacred space, that you are embodying, that be a source of strength, courage, and willpower in everything that you do.
I feel my nervous system literally being reset every time I do one of your meditations. So
stay in your light.
I hope you got great value and infinite healing from the stars. You've got to know people who could benefit from this frequency. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this and you would like to see more, you're going to want to watch that.